Hello, you are welcome to our first lecture. My name is Sadat Mohammed Suwia. You can call me SMS. We are going to learn about the principles of cost accounting. Now, accounting is a broad term or broad area that consists of branches, just like we have in the sciences the biology, the chemistry, and the physics. And accounting, there are also branches or areas. We have the financial accounting, the cost accounting, and the management accounting. The financial accounting, of course, deals with the publishing of accounts and all those eight sections, all right? The cost and management accounting are normally within the organization, and therefore they are not seen by stakeholders outside the organization, all right? We shall be looking at the differences in our subsequent lectures. But today we want to concentrate on what cost accounting is. And by this, we want to see what do we intend to achieve by the end of this lecture. Number one, we would want to achieve the concept of cost. We want to know what is the concept of cost. What is cost? We want to explain the concept of cost. We also want to state the functions that cost accounting play in an organization. Now, cost. What is cost? Cost normally is we do so many things on daily basis. We do buy and talking you using the term cost on daily basis. But what is it? What is cost? Cost is seen as the expenditure that we make in undertaking a particular activity. The expenditure that we make in undertaking an activity. So the expenditure you make in the activity could be maybe a product that you are buying or you are making, a service rendered, a particular process. So cost is seen as the expenditure that we can attribute to a product or a service. So we can attribute that this expenditure is on this product, service, then that's the cost of it. So cost refers to the expenditure incurred in carrying out an activity. Cost can also be seen as the expenditure attributable to a product, a process, a job, or a service. The process of determining the cost of an item, the process of determining the cost of a job, the process of determining the cost of a service, the process of determining the cost of an activity is known as costing. So costing is a term that we use to refer to the process or the way of determining, the ascertaining of the cost is what we call costing. So when we ask what is costing, it is simple a technique or the process of determining the cost of an item. In accounting language, we normally don't use determine, we use the word ascertain. Alright? So to ascertain the cost incurred in an activity. So costing is a technique and a process of ascertaining cost incurred in an activity. So that's what we are saying. Now the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants define cost. Simple. What did they say? They said cost simply means the ascertainment of costs. As easy as ABCD. What did they say? It is the process or simply the ascertainment of costs. The ascertainment of costs. Now, we have learned costs. We have also learned the meaning of costing. What is cost accounting? Accounting, normally we know, is about recording financial data, information in the books of accounts. So we are talking about identifying transactions. We summarize these transactions. We record, we explain, we interpret to non-accounting people and others, shareholders, stakeholders in an organization. When we talk of cost accounting, what are we referring to? We are saying that cost accounting is what? The formal accounting mechanism by means of which costs are ascertained by recording them in the books of accounts. So in this case, what we are saying is simple. It's the same thing, like I said, it's a branch of accounting. It's also about recording them in the books. But in this case, it is all about what? cost information, cost data. We record them in the books of accounts. So those formal mechanisms that we employ, then we record costs in the books of accounts, is what we call cost accounting. Now, cost accounting too can be seen as establishing budgets, standards. Then we also determine our actual cost of operations. Then we make comparisons between these two to ascertain variances and see whether there's a profitability or otherwise. So we say that cost accounting may also be defined as the establishment of budgets, standard costs, and actual cost of operations, processes, activities, or products, and the analysis of variances, profitability, or the social use of funds. So when we talk of budgets and standard costs, we shall learn them in details later on. But in simple terms, what we are saying is that budgets and standard costs are normally planned costs. So they are plans we make. So these plans that we make, like the finance minister does, so that is on the higher level, so that's on the public sector area. But to use that to explain, the finance minister presents a budget every year. So they present it before the beginning of that year. So for example, the 2022 budget was presented in November 2021 to tell you what their plan is, the expenditure they're going to make. Are you following that? In that year. Now when the year ends, they're supposed to bring up a report. That report they will bring will tell you actually what did they use the money for. They say they're going to use the money for this, A, B, C, D. Did they use the money for A, B, C, D? Was the money overused or underused? So in that case, we now look at the actual cost. So now when we compare the actual cost with the standard, the budget, that's what we know whether there was overusing or underusage. Do we overspend or we underspend? That differences that are resulting as a result of this analysis is what we call variance analysis. Now this variance analysis will let us know in organizations whether they were under costs, we spend less or we spend more. If we spend less, we are likely to make more profits. If we spend more, we are going to reduce our profits. That is how it goes. Because the higher the cost, the lower the profits. And the lower the cost, the higher the profits. All other things being equal. So that is cost accounting. Now, what is the role of cost accounting in organizations? What role do cost accounting play? What role does it play in organizations? One, we say that cost accounting, it facilitates production control. What do we mean by facilitate production control? We need to control the production. We don't have to overproduce or underproduce. We need to see the methods we employ to optimize our production. Now, the reason why we need to optimize production is because we don't have to exaggerate. Alright? So, optimize production. So, cost accounting helps us to do this. So, when you exaggerate, of course, you overproduce, you result in cost. When you underproduce, there are also costs associated with that. So, we need to do that. Now, apart from facilitating production control, cost accounting also facilitates stock control. It's also about ensuring that you don't overstock your stores or your organization, or you understock. You have to get the optimum level of stock, and that is cost accounting will help us achieve this objective. Another area is the areas of wastages are highlighted. Areas of cost accounting where there are deficiencies, where it results in expenditure that are not necessary or core to the organization. We identify them, we eliminate, because the major objective is to minimize costs so we can make profit, like we said. Then we're also seeing that idle time is highlighted. So idle time is the time that we are not working, and it's not through the fault of the workers. For example, machine breakdown, power outage. It's not the fault of the organization, employees. You pay them anyway. So cost accounting helps us to highlight this so we can solve it. Then job costs may usually be estimated accurately. Then profitable and unprofitable products and services are also identified with the use of cost accounting. Then efficient and inefficient methods of production are identified. So thank you. Today we've learned about the meaning of costs. We have also learned about cost accounting. We have also learned about the functions of cost accounting. Next time we meet, we shall be looking at the advantages of cost accounting, the disadvantages of cost accounting, and the difference between cost accounting and financial accounting. I am running out of time. I just have to use 10 minutes to do this. So thank you very much for the lesson. The next time we meet, we shall meet and discuss more. Bye-bye.